People hear us?
I can hear you, Jack. Can you hear me?
I can hear you guys.
Ben,
I can hear
you
everyone.
hear me at all?
I'm good. I hear.
Okay, Jack, can you hear us yet? Guess not.
I heard you, Brian.
I can hear everyone.
I can hear. I can hear.
Okay, well, that's no sound from me. Can you hear me, Rachel? You can
Yes.
hear me. Well, that's a step in the right direction.
Okay, the page has been updated.
Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Brian. I'm gonna turn off. I'm gonna see if I can't go and come back, I guess.
Let's go.
You guys can hear me. I can't hear anyone, and
Yeah.
everything looks good on my end.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for following us to the second link. That's not how we intended to follow or how to start off such a big meeting for us. We got a lot going on and a lot to cover, and we've spent 17 minutes sending out a link. We have a lot of big stuff to talk about. Hopefully we can get Jack squared away so he can share his slide deck as we planned. And we'll give a few more minutes for people to get on.
You don't think there's any chance his volume's down? Do you?
Yeah. Ben, do you have the updated slide deck by chance?
No, I don't.
No, I don't. Okay.
It's in the Slack, isn't it?
Would that be meeting planning Slack?
Yeah, statewide meeting, I think. Jack, can you hear us?
Once again, everybody can hear me and I can't hear anyone, right?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you.
All the planning.
How about I call you and you can just listen through my phone?
Okay. Yeah, call him.
Does anybody have any,
Okay,
Ben,
well,
is there a way to do this thing to, or did you just patch me in?
Yeah. Can you hear it through your phone? Can you put it on speaker?
Yeah, I mean, I can.
oh, he can also just call the number on the link because the number has the link. When I share it, it says the link and also the telephone number that he can.
That works. Stand by.
What's your? Can't hear you. Type it in the chat.
Well,
Where'd
you
you
can
go?
Just send us a new link without emails.
Yeah. Well, and the link that we used was Christian's. Christian has the Zoom or the Zoom account that can handle more people and has all the bells and whistles, so we typically use it. Okay, we got a few more people. Welcome all. Let's see how we should get started. Is there anybody in this meeting that this is their first meeting?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. We're usually very buttoned up and professional, and we strive to be more and more every month. And this week, or this month,
And-
we're starting a little off. And this is the month we were really going to prove how together we were. I had such high hopes. But every few months we get one like this. You know, it's amazingly difficult to send out a Zoom link to like 5,000 people and like give them the opportunity to get on the same call. I can't believe it. But we're all learning. Jack, can you hear us now? Do you have it figured out?
Jack's muted.
Now we can't hear you.
You're muted.
There you
Jack.
go.
There you are.
Testing 1, 2.
Yes.
We got you.
Okay, well, here's the problem. I want to be talking to you on my phone.
Then you gotta unmute the phone. Oh, but no.
All right, so I dialed in, and it says *6 to unmute, *6.
Yay.
What
Try
do we
that.
think about sharing the deck and Brian, you taking over speaking?
Well, we can do that. Jack, if you share your screen, at least we can get started until we get you squared away a little better. How about that?
Sure, that'll be great. And present now. My screen. And give me 1 sec.
Yeah. Okay, we saw more people coming in. That's great. Welcome. Okay, welcome to the monthly statewide meeting for March of the Pennsylvania Forward Party. We're excited to have you all. Like I said, I can't apologize enough for the way we got started today, but if you forgive us that, I promise this is going to be a very interesting, good meeting. Lots of things to announce. We want to start tonight by talking about our 3 principles. Like that we always like to focus on. Thriving democracy. If you have, oh boy, off the top of my head, I gotta remember them.
Free people, thriving
Free
democracy,
people, thriving communities, vibrant
prospering
democracy.
communities or something. There we go. Right.
This is
Yeah,
a
we're
great
gonna
thing.
try this again.
Okay. We want to focus on these 3 things, and we want to find ways that we can measure these three things. So as we go on, we're going to be focused on, we need suggestions on what about these 3 concepts, our 3 principles, can we come back to and measure over time how we're doing, because what you measure is what you care about. That's very important. Vibrant democracy. Off the top of my head, one thing that we should measure is how many uncontested elections we have in this state. If we could say, oh, you know, this year we were at 70% uncontested elections, and in 10 years we can be at 40% uncontested elections, I think that would be a great sign that we have vibrant democracy increasing. But
Brian, can you guys
Yeah.
hear me okay? Is there an echo, or can you hear me?
we can hear you.
Then if you don't mind, I'll go ahead, try to go through this a little bit, because
Sure.
I'm kind of a little more familiar with you guys.
Go for it.
So let's just step back here. What are we going to talk about over the next hour and a half? And I think we'll do it in less than an hour and a half. But we will chat a little bit more about the 3 principles, and we're going to call all of you to join us, because it's really the Forward Party in Pennsylvania. It's a collaborative collective of all of us here. We have some very important business things we got to bring you up to speed on. the whole idea of our executive committee and electing officers and how we're going to go about it. Make sure each of you are heard. We have to drive toward getting our bylaws developed and approved sooner rather than later. And then we'll talk about our upcoming summits and our team reports, and we want to leave time to open for questions. Now, I'm kind of skipping past the slide that Brian covered, and I want to thank him for stepping in completely unprepared because of the technical issues. But we do want to speak a little bit. We're going to come back to this a bunch of times, especially when we get involved with the executive committee. This idea of joining our leadership team. Each and every one of our teams has very specific needs, and we need people who can devote anywhere from 2 to 10 hours a week. And actually, with just as little as an hour and a half to 2.5 hours a week, it's amazing what you can accomplish and contribute. We've learned so much as the team so far in the last few months on how many skills and experiences people have been bringing to the team. And it's been pretty, it's been innovating. It's exciting. So we'll talk a little bit about how we're going to get there. So we have this thing we're called the executive committee, and the executive committee is essentially the chairs, the regional chairs, and the head of fundraising. And we need, as part of our bylaw process and operating as a party in Pennsylvania, we need to finalize and actually have an election of an executive team. So we got a plan in place to do that, and it's on the screen. And it's devised to get as much input from each of you guys in the state as we can. So the first thing we did is we collected their names. We've developed a format to talk to you guys about. And we're going to present a slate in about 1 slide. And then we're going to set up a communication process over the next a month and change to make sure that each and every one of you have an opportunity to fill an open seat or even one of the existing seats. And we're going to use ranked choice voting to actually finalize the decision. And we'll announce the winners at the end of April. We've got lots of openings. Hang on. So for the last few months, Christian Pike has been our state chair. Ben Valamon has been handling our state secretary responsibilities. You met Brian already. He's the Pittsburgh Regional State Chair. Hector is our interim capital region, that's Central Region. And Kyle DiMarino, who's on the call, is from Philadelphia, the East Region. And we have Tim Snyder here with us as our fundraising chair. I'm kind of an at-large member. I'm not running for office here. We have openings for West, Central, and East. And it might even turn out to be more because it's still an open question whether we're going to have 6 regions or 7 as part of our bylaw process, or even more. But right now it seems to be between 6 and 7. So we need people to self-nominate or nominate other people to either run against the existing interim folks who we're recommending for a formal election, or to fill an open chair. So be thinking of that when we say call to lead. So all of this is built around the requirements of the bylaws, and I'm going to stop for a second and kick this over to Ben, and he'll go over the process that we're going to do to ratify the bylaws that we're going to operate on. Ben?
All right. We've been working on the bylaws in the interim leadership to get to a point where we can present something to all you guys. We are having our last workshop on Thursday. If you want to participate in that, you need to ask to be invited. We don't want too many cooks in the kitchen in this, but we do want to have an open process. Once we have kind of finalized the draft, next month we're going to present it to at next month's meeting. We're going to present it to the draft to all Ian's guys, and then we're going to announce a read through where we can solicit more comments, and then afterwards we're going to close the comment period and then adopt it, pretty much. Is there any questions?
Yeah, I think I've got one, and I think Kelly or somebody else had a hand up. And Al Laska had raised a hand. So let's just, one is if we get down to where there's a couple of alternatives, let's say, in the number or component or composition of a region, are we okay to open up a ranked choice voting to give everybody a chance to formally weigh in and take that as part of our advice as we go through for the final draft?
We might draft the bylaws so that it is not written into the bylaws that the number of regions, just that how they can be amended and how many are, or who decides that. So it would probably be the state, or what we call the state committee, what would be all our officers, and hopefully once we get to it, all the chairs of the county chapters. We don't have any county chapters as of yet, but that is the direction we want to move in. I see Al Laska. If you unmute yourself, you could ask your question.
Her hand's been up. It might have been from, is this your first meeting?
Oh, okay.
Or not?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. No, that was from another question. I was from before when you said, is this the first time you've been here? And I put my hand up for that. So yeah, I'm just here to learn about the party and very curious.
Okay.
So as Ben said, the next working session is actually this Thursday. If you're interested in attending, drop us a line at pennsylvaniaforwardparty.com, and we'll make sure we get a link, copy of the link. So our next in-person working session will be in Gettysburg on May 20th. And hopefully by then we'll have completed all of the input and ratification of the bylaws. We will have formally conducted the election of the officers. We would hope that all of the officers will be available to join us here. There will be some limited others. It's a working session. Really, the agenda of this is to install the officers and ratify the bylaws, and to get a chance to know each other on a more personal level. Most of us only met virtually, and also to help plan our summer summit. So it is open to everyone. However, there's limited room in the meeting room. So if somebody wants to make the trip on the 20th into Gettysburg to join us, again, as soon as practicable, let us know, and we'll keep a log, including those on the backup list. So this is kind of, Brian, do you want to chat a little bit about where Christian is today?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, so you all know Christian that is normally hosting these events. He was actually selected from the Forward National Group to be one of the handful of people that get to go and help plan the national summit they're holding this summer. So right now he's at dinner, with the national forward people, coming up with plans and coming up with a larger strategy for some really big plans going on. I don't know if everybody saw like the event, was it just last weekend in Phoenix? They had a big, things are starting to come together and people plan all these things, and it's a really great thing. They had a really great selection process. Everybody voted and you had to write a little bio about why you wanted to be involved, and he was selected. So we were really happy for him. Yeah, so and not only that, but when they get the national campaign together this summer, they hope to bring people from all the different states to go to it. So that the details on that will be coming out. Like I said, they're just planning it now. But what we know is we can send up to 10 delegates. So that will be a really exciting process, and we all hope to send our best, represent Pennsylvania well and help work with people all across the country. We're really excited to get the ideas across and start working together.
I'd like to invite Tim Snyder, our interim director of finance and fundraising, to give us a report.
It's a pleasure. And again, a lot of what we're trying to do is get everybody involved. Let me just back up to make one comment. We don't spend a lot of time talking about it, but eventually everything is local. And so if any of you are inclined to even be an interim or a temporary leader, every county is going to need somebody to organize that county. So I would really encourage any of you to begin to organize the county that you're living in, and to encourage you to do that. So we're moving much more quickly, and we've got our summits campaign, we're calling it, because we've been planning this May summit, and we have some recent discussions about having a bigger event in the summer for Summit Part 2. And then there's the National Summit, where, again, Christian's one of 7 state leads helping design that out in Nashville right now. National asked us about a month and a half ago to help raise some money to send our delegates. And so we've been working. Frankly, Jack, he underspeaks his role. He's a critical member, along with Bill Jones, the treasurer, to form our fledgling finance / fundraising committee. Eventually they will separate. We do need more of you. So if any of you have any fundraising interest or experience to help us organize it, we'd love to have you join our small but motley crew. Also, Rachel, Chinook, and Gabe, good old Gabe. Help me with his last name.
McGuire.
Pardon?
Gabe McGuire.
That's right, McGuire, Gabe McGuire, who's a whiz at social media type things, and he's recently sent out a survey to gauge some interest. He's very helping us with that. But the National has asked us to specifically raise $5,000 to send 2 delegates to the National Summit. And that'll cover all of their costs, not transportation. We're hoping to raise the money for that. But they want us to raise $5,000 for those 2 folks. $1,000 of that will go into some larger scholarship fund for states that aren't able to raise as much money or what have you. So our very minimum goal is $5,000 for that. Additionally, they talk about 8 additional delegates at $1,500 a person, which would get us to what Brian mentioned is our 10 delegates. And we hope to raise the money to send them. And so that would be a bit of a stretch goal. And then we also, if we're really successful, and there are about 350 people in Pennsylvania who've ever given to the Forward Party that we're going to ask to give a little bit more. We hope to raise as much as $5,000 more, which would be gravy, to pay for the air travel for those 10 delegates. In addition to that, we have our summits that we're planning. And again, we haven't asked anybody to give money for our own activities, and National's been paying for a lot of that. But we're using this opportunity to begin raising some money for the summit meeting that we're having in May, possibly for the summit in the summer. And as Christian once said, we've got all sorts of opportunities in the future to raise money. So we'll be able to spend whatever money we raise. We're not going to lose it. But so totally that would be as much as $30,000. Now that is a big stretch, especially for those of us who haven't been doing a lot of organizing. We don't have a lot of candidates to run, but the process of developing Forward Pennsylvania is really critical. And we all know that, and that's why we're all sitting around the table right now. And so we're going to raise as much money as we can. I do want you to know that the core leadership is made a commitment with their time and their talents and also their treasure. And so almost a dozen of the leaders have already made a commitment. We have raised over $3,500 so far. So there's a good start. The gifts range from $20 to $1,000. And that's the nature of fundraising. We ask people to give according to their interest and their capacity. No more, no less. And so we're not begging for money, but it takes money to promote us. We aren't, it's not a pay to go. So we're raising the money to support whoever the leadership decides to send. And that's a process that the leadership will work through. And we have identified, you may have heard the number thrown around, about 5,000 people on Nation Builder in Pennsylvania. And I dove into it a little bit the other day with someone from Denver and discovered I was in there 4 times. And so we consolidated me. So we lost 3 of those 5,000. What we found, though, was 350 people who've ever given to Forward. And many of them may well be you guys. And we're working with the National to get that data so we can approach people to just ask them to educate them and answer their questions and tell them what we're raising the money for. We've got some 1-pagers prepared to eventually send out to all of you. Questions and answers, frequently asked questions. What are you going to do with the money? And we're preparing all of that. And so we've been doing very well, and we hope to go to people who do have capacity, who could give us $1,000. We do have one right now. We have one person that's been identified to be asked for that amount of money, and we'll continue some of those activities. Our plan is to prepare all this in another couple weeks, getting the information, getting education out there, letting the rest of you and the rest of the people, I think about 35 people registered for the meeting. Obviously, there's some that had problem getting on, and there are 20 people that are on the call right now. But we do hope to educate people, answer questions, and indeed ask people to consider making a commitment to the Forward Pennsylvania Party in April. Our deadline is the end of May or the end of April, and then that'll prepare us for our summit in May in Gettysburg, and hopefully allow us to send quality representatives to the Denver summit at the end of June. So that's where we are with our financing and fundraising. Does anybody have any questions about any of that?
Thank you, Tim. So I'm going to go ahead and take a spin at the organizing report. We try to align with and work with like-minded organizations. And I'll let you guys know where you may want to participate in these. So there's a March on Harrisburg coming up on April 14th. And there is an event page on our website for that. If you're aware of Ballot PA, they're conducting a petition drive. And Keep Our Republic is currently having an event in Lancaster on April 3rd at Franklin and Marshall University. What we'd invite you guys to do is let us know when these you become aware of these type of things around the state. And we will be compiling a continual to compile a list and make it generally visible to all of you on a regular basis. We'll talk about it monthly. But once we have critical mass, Gabe and his crew will have them posted up on our blogs and our website. So you guys can reach out and see what's going on in the state of Pennsylvania you think you might want to align to. Brian, do you have anything you want to add to this?
You know what? My afternoon was spent looking at news stories about a school shooting that was very troubling. And it reminded me to look up a group called Ceasefire PA. I don't currently have any connection to them or their leadership. So if anybody knows anything about them, that's one I'd like to get a hold of. But there's a million organizations like that in Pennsylvania that, you know what, are looking for common sense solution to things. And like these ones here, Ceasefire, I think, Citizens Climate Lobby. There's a million groups that we want to support what they're doing and would like their support for what we're doing. So if you have connections to groups like that, always send us an email with a contact, or, if we have these framework sessions every Tuesday night. We're always looking for speakers at those, and maybe organizations like that would like to address us at a framework session. That'd be something, to look forward to. Rachel, you got something?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that I actually am connected to Ceasefire. So I have someone that I work with. Her name's Carol. She's on, I'm not sure exactly her role there, but I've worked with her on 2 projects so far, which one is, it's called the Common Agenda. I think I shared it with some of you guys, the Common Agenda to End Gun Violence. And it's three, let's call them common sense things that we can do now. They're not revolutionary gun laws. Things like, I'm trying to remember the 3. I wasn't prepared. But I'll link it up. It's I think it's closing loopholes. I believe I don't want to say some things taken. But
no, and I don't want to know. I don't want to go on and like completely endorse that. They're not like in a complete. I'm just saying. From the little bit I know, they look really interesting. And
they're nonpartisan as well, which is appealing. And currently they're working also to gain signatures to get the governor to continue to fund gun violence prevention. And they speak very carefully to say gun violence prevention. It's not gun laws, it's gun violence prevention. So examining the issue and working within reasonable frames to make movements. I can link that up for you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, and Jessica, I see Fair Districts PA, and Fix Harrisburg. We were recently just interacting with Fix Harrisburg on Twitter. That was good.
Hi.
Yeah. And Gabe, what do you have?
Yeah, all right. Can people hear me? I'm just a little curious.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. I sent a link to PA Independence in the chat, and they're having their monthly meeting on April 10th. So that's another one that we always work with. Some of the leaders of that actually might be in this call. I'm not sure if they are currently, but they've been in the previous ones. But that's another great group to work with. The Ford Party's kind of had some combined work, but they're always another great group to support, and they also take a lot of action. So if you're looking to get engaged, just kind of follow the link that I posted there, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities.
Absolutely. Tim, did you have something else? You're muted still.
If I unmute myself, it might help. And just to reinforce what Gabe just said, the independent PA group has a person who's been participating with us. She's not on the call today, but she's the official representative of them for us. And these cross links are just so valuable. One of the other states, I think it's Washington, at a state lead meeting mentioned a role that I think a lot of us have an interest in playing. And that is, we're not there yet. We don't have a slate of candidates running for 17 offices, et cetera, et cetera. But they were emphasizing the importance of the forward movement being known as a place where everybody can come together and share and work together. Not that we agree on everything, but we agree on a lot of things. And they talk about being the table around which people can come to and sit. And I think that's some pretty attractiveness. The notion of independence PA. I saw a reference in another state where they talked about Democrats forward. And I suspect there's a Republicans forward. Might be, people who are Democrats but value where we are, or people who are Republicans and value who we are. They don't have to switch parties, but we can all come together and find our common interests. It's devastating what happened again today. And with all due respect, I've got a very short answer. It's called ban assault weapons, period. That's a standalone bill in my mind. But everybody may have some different opinions about that. So, but this notion of being a place that can cross-reference with other movements, other motivations is, I think, a real valuable aspect of where we're going to be going over the next year or so, to hopefully build a coalition of right-minded communication and respect and honest brokerage and authentic relationships in the three pillars of free people and thriving communities and democracy. So that's my 2 cents.
And maybe just to tie a bow on this, when we have events like we have here on this screen, when we can support an event that another group is hosting, representing Forward, maybe wear your Forward t-shirt or just talk to people when you're there, but they get to know, Forward people like us, maybe I like them a little bit. Maybe they'll come to an event that we hold. And that's how these things build partnerships. So if you can support a group like that, that's great.
Thank you, Brian and Tim. Brian, I think I'm going to start with you on this as well. So we're into the regional report section, and you've got some events scheduled in the West. We can talk about the 2 open elections.
Yeah, so we just talked about some events that we're holding that we suggest people come to in the Pennsylvania area. The biggest things we have going on right now in the central and east regions, I think, are these House district special elections coming up. So in both those areas, if you can see there, just south of Williamsport, that's House District 108. And then that's just west of Philadelphia, House District 163. Both those House seats are empty. And the special election is going to happen in May on the primary day, all in the same ballot. Ben, correct me if I get anything wrong here, but I think I'm right so far. And you know what? These special elections are really great, not because we can run a candidate necessarily, because we're not at that point yet, and the rules around this are very tricky to get a candidate on a ballot in such short notice. But if you live in that area and you know of someone making an independent run, we can maybe support them, or one of the 2 major party candidates that supports the things that we support and you think are great, reach out to us and we can, include that and reach out to them. But the number one best thing you could do is if you get a chance to talk to any of these candidates running for these open seats, get them on the record as how they feel about open primaries, nonpartisan primaries, even better, ranked choice voting. Just ask them, because these are the people that have the control to change the way we vote in our state. And no one ever asked them these questions. So if you can get them on the record saying they support something or even thinking about it, that is a big advantage that we can, we can make some friends in Harrisburg, and those are the people that we need.
Thanks, Brian. So Hector, our interim chair for the Central Region, is actually traveling out of the country. He has submitted a couple of bullets on a page of things that are going on in the Central Region, which I'm going to include with a copy of this deck to be sent to everyone who's attending this call. So in lieu of minutes, I guess, we're sending a recording of this meeting and a copy of the deck and all of the ancillary documents along with it. Kyle, do you have anything for the East region? Are you still with us? I don't know if you're still on the call.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, looking to have an event towards the end of April, I think April 21st. So kind of just like a meetup like we had before. And then a Zoom meeting next week. So yeah.
Thank you. And Gabe, it's all yours. You can tell us how to communicate.
All right, thank you. I apologize, so my environment's a little bit noisy here. But let's see. So my name is Gabe McGuire, and I help lead the communications team along with a few other people in this call. So if Ben or Christian Clark, if he's here, want to speak to some of these points, just feel free to unmute and join in. But first of all, the communications team has been keeping up with their social media presence this month. So I believe we have like over 400 unique followers between the 4 accounts, as you can see on the screen here. So we've got Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. But for the most part, Instagram, we spread a lot of great like national updates and some other events around the area. So if you're looking for engagement opportunities, similar to what you might find in some of the other allied organizations we talked about like 2 slides ago, look to our Instagram account. We're actively reposting some of those for our followers. And then Facebook, we spread some announcements there, while Twitter kind of really is our platform for active commentary. So we talk about topical issues, whether it's gun violence or ranked choice voting, just kind of around the country and the state. So a good way to kind of figure out our policies would just be to look there and see some of our opinions on some modern issues. And this month we also created a TikTok account, but there's not many great trends to kind of hop on right now. So we're looking for like a killer first post. And so we're waiting for like the start of April for that. But other than that, communications works with some of the other teams to help spread the word about our mission. So we're working kind of on some targeted ad blasts. So we have a couple friends just between the communications team who have had some experience in advertising. And so we're looking to mobilize that as we start to grow the party a bit. But make sure you're signed up on the Forward website, like to stay in touch, just to kind of guarantee that you'll get a lot of the targeted ad blasts. It kind of just helps with our overall operations. But other than that, we work on summaries just for some of the materials that you're eventually going to have sent to you. But we're also kind of working on some surveys as well. So we're just communicating a lot of the messages of some of the other teams. But again, the links to all of these social media accounts and then some of the other pages like our blogs will be on the very last slide. So just keep an eye out for that, and we kind of would love if you guys could follow and get involved. Ben or Christian, do you think you have anything to say?
Thank you. We do have ongoing ways for each of you to join us. So we have our drop-in sessions on Monday at 11:30, runs for an hour. The drop-in sessions is really informal. People pop in, pop out, they ask questions. They share with us how they feel about something that's going on in the political news cycle. And we talk about, actually, a lot of times we're just talking about how we can get the word out. How can we share what we feel about democracy and putting the little d of democracy back in the big D democracy. On Tuesdays, it's really exciting because we have our framework sessions. Brian's already spoken of this. Here's where we invite guest speakers, as well as each of us, to propose a topic. And if when that topic's selected for that Tuesday, they present data and or their experience or their advocation for a particular policy or platform item. And then we have a discussion about it. And I personally have found it really neat to see the different points of view rationally discussed about things that are typically polarized or weaponized in some other environments. So this is a no weapon environment on Tuesday. So it doesn't matter which side of the issue you're on. You just have to be willing to listen to everybody's version of it. And then we really do want people to start running for office. I forget the number, Brian, you have to keep me honest, but it's over 60% of all of the local elections are basically unopposed. And we'd like to see the political machines in this country shook up a little bit and let real life humans run for office to help represent themselves. So we have a candidate training series run by Ethan Dem on the first Wednesday of every month. And then, of course, we have this monthly meeting and no end of interim workshops and forums that we'll share with you guys as they come up. So strongly urge anyone who has nothing to do at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night to pop in on the framework session. They're a lot of fun. So it's semi at the end of our regularly scheduled broadcast, and we have managed to catch up our late start, and we have about 28 minutes for Q&A. Keep this close to home. Pennsylvania at forwardparty.com. You've got wind of an upcoming event. You've got a thought you want to share. You want to nominate yourself for something. By all means, send an email to this email address, and it'll be disseminated to the right sub team, and we'll jump on it. All the stuff that Gabe was talking about are right here. There's our email, website, blog link. It'll be a mass email with the election and the nomination process for officers. Obviously, our Twitter, TikTok, Facebook account, and our Instagram. It's hard to see that says _Pennsylvania on that. So I'm going to stop sharing and toss it up for questions. I'd like to hear a little bit about why some of you guys are here. Somebody want to volunteer? Not the executive team. I talk to you guys all the time. I'd like to hear from folks who are not on the executive team. Why'd you dial in? Why are you interested in the Forward Party, and what can we share with you?
Hi there. This is Emily.
Hi, Emily.
I'm in Somerset, Pennsylvania, so western side of the state. Just not feeling very represented by either party. And this seems like a viable path forward to getting out of a two-party system and getting into a voting process in Pennsylvania that makes more sense. So happy to meet everybody. I can't get my camera to work, Just got my kids to bed, so I stepped away for a while, but nice to meet you.
Well, that's great. I hope we see lots of you. Would anyone else like to share? Hey, Rachel.
I was just listening, and I know it's a small group of us here today, but I just wanted, if I had anything to add, I would say, when I tuned into my first meeting, I remember thinking like, oh, there's this well-oiled machine that they're gonna convince me to join them, and I'm gonna believe everything they believe in. This is the answer to all society's problems. And what took me a couple months to realize is this is so early on in the organizing phase, and the party is the faces in Pennsylvania anyway, the faces you're looking at right now. So if you were interested enough to call in and you have one or two friends who you sometimes talk about this stuff with, I mean, we need membership, we need leadership. It's so early. We are really just deciding really what happens with the Forward Party in Pennsylvania. And, we glossed over the bylaws, but there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. We couldn't spend a meeting today, reading the bylaws, but if that type of stuff is interesting to you, tune in on Thursday or get in touch with Ben or just Pennsylvania at Forward Party. These meetings are really hard to capture the exciting work that goes on behind the scenes, and that you can really be a force for change just because you care and are interested and willing to contribute. So I've just put in the plug for, if you tuned in tonight and if you know anybody, like, it is a small group and we do need to multiply. So hope to see you guys around.
Well, thank you, Ms. Laska, for your comment. Bill, you had your hand up?
Well, I hope, is my mic working?
It is.
Yeah, okay, it wasn't working before. That's why I put the hand down. I just, anybody that's new to the call, tune into those framework sessions. There's so much good information there. I'm a veteran. I did one on veterans a couple weeks ago. So, I know one of the people that tuned in was on the call today, and I hope she learned some stuff. But yeah, those framework sessions are so important. If you get a chance, tune into those because you'll learn more and more about what we do as what we're doing moving forward, how that open and frank discussion there is. We want to hear both sides. We had a gun advocate on one day talking about, his preponderance for types of weapons. So these are things that these framework sessions. So please tune into those. That's all. Thanks.
Do we know if we're having one tomorrow because of where Christian is?
That's a good question, and I can't answer it.
I believe we are. That's my understanding, but we'll have it rain or shine. How about that? We'll figure it out beforehand and host it, whether Christian hosts it or not.
I did notice that Tim had a hand up earlier. If you wanted to get in on what he, you're muted.
That's passed us by.
Well, I'd like to share with you guys, the new folks, how I got involved in this. I've been a lifelong Republican. I voted my first election in 1972 for Richard Nixon. Most of you probably weren't around then. I can tell you I've never been a straight party guy, but I worked my way up to the party and was a pretty senior member of the Bucks County Republican Party for many years. And the weaponization of the two-party system and the idea that you could wake up in the morning, see a beautiful sunrise, and say the sun is shining, and find out that 49% of the population of the country are calling you a liar because you're just on the other side. I just couldn't make that work for me anymore. And the idea that I had to vote for a party and not for a person was no longer working for me. And then I discovered the Forward Party. We're not about policy here. What the Forward Party is about is the process of bringing democracy back to democracy. I can tell you that a lot of folks on this call don't agree with everything I think of in a platform, but they've all been respectful and let me say what I think. And I have changed my viewpoint by being able to hear what they think. And I think that's the real advantage of what we're doing here. One last thing I'd like to leave us. I think it would be awesome in the state of Pennsylvania if the Forward Party became known as the party you want to have to endorse you. Because if you were running for office and you had the endorsement of the Forward Party, then you were really sure that people were acknowledging that you had the best interest of your constituents at heart. That would be the goal I would look for us.
Okay, Jessica, she's on mute. She spent years working on redistricting reform and am overall a huge government reform hawk. Nice. And a staunch independent. The political system is broken and does not serve the people, only special interest, and perpetuating the duopoly. We need more and better choices. Also, I'm very concerned with the polarization and losing the narrative as a country. Absolutely. Well said, everybody. All right, I'm going to end the recording.